Please work. Do I have to hold this the whole time? Are we for real right now? So what do I get for not vlogging for 5 years? The camera just doesn't like me anymore. Hey, we're back. I recognize that it's been 5 years. I think I should put on a shirt. Better. This is my first vlog in 6 years and I'm so sorry. Really, from the bottom of my heart. I don't know what happened. I blinked and I'm 25 and we are in a stage of frontal lobe development and I don't really know what's going on. I like to sleep and I like basic things and I no longer have a desire to push myself to the limit because I don't want to reach that point. I'm gonna focus and we're gonna talk about what we're gonna talk about for this episode. I'm gonna be doing a 5-part series on absolutely anything. No, that's a lie. It's gonna be, there's a theme to it. There's a theme in the mental health world. Because since being 19, I know I was doing little vloggy shit and it kind of fell through. I mean, I knew it was gonna fall through. I have been vlogging on this channel since I was 16 years old. I really hope none of you have seen that video. It is gone. It doesn't exist. Don't try to look for it. But I've been vlogging since I was 16 and now like I said, we're gonna develop the frontal lobe, and that does not mean no more, we're not cringing anymore. We're gonna focus, we're gonna be grown, and we're gonna talk about real stuff. And I mean, I could get back into vlogging, like it's always like a possibility, you know, like it's always like in the back of my mind, like if I record my day to day, like would they think it's interesting? I go through the most chaotic shit every single day. Do they want to see that? But also it involves a lot of raw emotion, a lot of like distress, and but that does lead into what this episode is about. And yeah, so the 5-part series is basically, we're gonna be all over the place. We're gonna talk about mental health, we're gonna talk about my life, I'm gonna update you on my life, I'm gonna update you on what my thoughts are now as being a professional in mental health in like the field and a working professional in the mental health field. We're gonna see a lot of things. I'm mainly gonna talk about relevant things in my life, and I hope you find it interesting. I hope you find it relevant. I really hope you don't get bored. I've been bored. I've also been reading a lot. I know this episode is scattered. But no, I've been reading 2 books. One on narcissism and the other one on epigenetics. Do you guys know what that is? It's a super cool topic. I didn't know I was gonna like it, but I do. But I do want to share and talk about those books on these videos here. These are gonna be pretty short. I like it short and sweet. I noticed the attention span is not here. If TikTok gets banned, this is where I'm going. I'm not going anywhere else, I promise. Like this is all I got. I don't want to do Instagram. I can't. If any of you guys are coming from TikTok, if you follow me on TikTok, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. But as you guys know, I've been on a healing journey on TikTok, exposing the crimes of someone I was unfortunately with for the past 7 years. And TikTok is like my little exposure journal. Like I literally want you guys to have the password and key and to hear all about what I went through. And as weird as those videos make me look, I feel like I've gotten a lot out of it. I feel like it's been a time of reflection. I have been able to process my thoughts through it, get my words across, and kind of build an advocacy for myself for victims of long-term abuse in relationships. And surprisingly, a lot has come out of it. I've been able to help people navigate through their toxic relationship. I think once you go through the runt of it, it kind of like equips you to unfortunately keep being in the runt of it, like not with your own issues but like with other people's, but in a way that's super cool because people come to you, people are like, give me the insight from your suffering, and I'm like, absolutely, here it is. Yeah, here we are, life coaching people and discovering my own trauma through that and the work that I do now. So it's been quite a year. It's been quite a weird 6 years. and I didn't think I would be coming back to the channel, but with all due respect, I'm so sorry, but I'm back. 5 topics that have been on my mind to talk about for the past couple months, and it feels a little bit spontaneous. See, I got wrinkles now. I didn't have those last time I was on here. Oh no. Drop your skincare routine. I'm not gonna do it, but I just want to know, like, how do I don't wear makeup anymore either. I know I used to be a big, like, influencer, just always doing the little product reviews and stuff. I hate makeup. I get overstimulated. I am very much more neurodivergent now. I've been through hell and back, guys. Like, it has not been a good journey. I'm surprised I'm still here. I'm surprised this camera made it. The camera hates me. But overall, I'm just really happy to be here. So let's begin. For this lovely episode, I'm gonna call it Growing Up Numb. Guys, I've talked about me before in the terms of my mental state, in the terms of having to, I mean, if you guys have listened to the podcast, I started a podcast. I did 2 of them. One was like more career-based, authentic wellness. Check it out. It's on here if you want to hear more about my personal story with complex trauma and why I choose to do the career that I do. And the second one was just like a guest episode. I chose a bunch of random people that I knew, and we talked about absolutely anything and everything that came to mind, and in the end we tied together how has the past shaped our present, and that's really what I'm all about, guys. So when I mention growing up numb, a lot of things go into this. My journey in mental health goes into this. My studying, my ability to get a degree in the field, my personal journey. As you guys heard, I have struggled a lot with complex trauma and PTSD, but of course made efforts to heal, and through my education I have actually found a light at the end of the tunnel, and by the grace of God we are doing great. Not as great as obviously people want to be, but I mean, with this like illness, like, it takes years and it's a lot of hard work. It's very draining on your body, it's hard on your body, and yeah, so to encompass that, there's something that really stands out to me in my life overall, and it's the common theme of people often coming to me and telling me, like, to my face, wow, you have a very unfortunate life, like, I'm very sorry for the events that happened, which they have observed or I've told or shared. When I get vulnerable, and they're like, wow, that really sucks. Your life sucks. And when I hear that, I'm aware that a lot of the pain that I have is very, very repressed. It's very, like, it's deep. It's rooted deep in my soul. And so in the moment when they say that, I'm like, I know, right? Like, yeah. And then I just smile and we move on to the next topic. Like, I acknowledge with you that it sucks. And oftentimes this is what has been recently occurring. Why do I feel validated when people say that? Is number 1. And then number 2 is, why do I feel angry when people say I'm so sorry? Like, when I get apologized to, I feel anger. But whenever they're, like, bluntly like, oh, your life sucks, like, I know. And then we have a little moment, and then we move on, and I feel good. And in a way, like, yes, I was just validated. You were just validated. And that's, I think, what happens with that. Like, that validation is comforting, because somebody's, like saying the truth about things. The unfortunate truth about my chronic illness, the emotional pain, the suffering, the rejection, abandonment, the issues I deal from my past, the regression, the repression, the trauma that instills itself in my day-to-day life, the medications, the doctor's appointments, the pain that I feel in my body every day. All the issues that I have. I think when people come to me and they're like, your life really sucks. Thank you. No, like genuinely from the bottom of my heart, I know I have a blunt affect, but that makes me feel good. And it makes me feel kind of seen. And as unfortunate as that may sound, I think a lot of people don't really know how to react when people come up to them and they're like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry that happened. I'm so sorry the circumstances are affecting you in this way. And I know people say that as a way to be understanding and empathetic, but I don't know if other people with trauma can relate, but that doesn't help. Because we recognize that our life is constantly in a spiral of distress. Like, I've noticed that people who have a history of significant trauma, they're always going through some catastrophic event. Like, it's so weird. I see memes on this. They're like, do you ever have that one friend that goes through something so traumatic every other day, and they act so nonchalant and they're fine and like numb essentially? And essentially that's what I've noticed becoming of myself. Like, I go through so much tragedy. I've been through so much pain. This last year was the worst year of my life. I literally was in the hospital so many times. I was sick, I was ailing in pain, I was crying, like it was disgusting. But I mean, like, being able to have someone come up to me and be like, your 2024 was really bad, put a smile on my face. Tell me why, I don't know, besides the validation point. But I've heard other people with extensive amounts of trauma also feel that way. And why is that? Yeah. So that's just my little thought that I wanted to share. And you guys can, of course, comment and discuss. We can have a discussion. Okay? I'm not in college. We can do a discussion board. I don't care. But that's kind of where I'm at. I know if you guys do listen to the podcast, it's a little bit outdated because I did film it for 2024, and that's what a lot of people don't know because it did come out kind of in 2024. But a lot of it was filmed in 2023. And that's when I was really rolling with the podcast. I was like doing the most. I was spending all day editing on this software, and I hated my life every minute because I hate editing. I love talking. I love yapping. I hate editing. I think it's always been a thing. And then back in the day, I used to use all the graphics and the words. And no, all you're going to get is this. All you're going to get is an unedited version with minimal editing because I don't give a crap. I don't want to do this anymore. Editing. I don't want to edit anymore. And with I kind of want to wrap it up, but with cptsd, because I specialize, I study complex trauma, because it is what I have, it is what I talk about now. I give presentations, I go and give lectures, I educate people on what cptsd is, how to help clients with cptsd, and how you can help yourself if you have cptsd. And honestly, this has been the core to healing. This has been the core to saving my life from offing myself multiple times, is the education that I found, the strength that I found by knowing and understanding facts and science, and just being able to connect all the missing parts that were missing when I was younger. And just that, like, the confusion leads to a lot of distress, and my goal in life has been to eliminate that distress. So here we go. I found this quote, I don't know where, but don't quote me on it because it's not mine. But the things that we normalize for kids in childhood are the things that they accept later in life. Let's look at it this way. You suffered from neglect. You were abandoned. You struggled with attachment issues to one parent or another. And then 20 years down the road, you're in a very toxic relationship. And as myself, I can see that. And in a lot of people, I see that. It's a very common trend that children who grow up in dysfunctional homes end up with someone who creates that dysfunctionality in the home, and then they're questioning, like, why did I repeat the cycle? I didn't mean to repeat the cycle. I didn't think I was gonna repeat the cycle, but here we are unconsciously. Like, why does that happen? Why are we attracted to toxic people? Sometimes we don't even know they are toxic. Why are we attracted to what we know? Because we're comfortable with what we know, whether it be negative or not. And so kids that are exposed constantly to that environment, it's all they become to know. It's all the connections that their brains make, that this is what's normal, and if I go into it again, I think I'll be able to overcome it. It's the I think part that's very, like, you have to pay very close attention to that. It's the I think, and that's where it gets you, because you think you can overcome because you've overcome already what you grew up in and what was worse. You think nothing can be worse than this, but then you end up with a black eye, and then you end up in a very devastating situation, and you're like, how did I get here? It's like you weren't present with your body. It's like your eyes were closed. You were blinded to the fact that you had placed yourself in the exact same situation where you fought so hard as a child and mentally tried to ingrain it in your mind. I don't want to end up in this situation that I was born into. And look what happens. You put yourself in the situation that you were born into. But I'm not saying that to like blame you. Like, you did not mean to put yourself in that situation. Of course not. Why would you? Like, we're out here surviving. Like, you don't want to be in that situation, obviously. But I think when you come out of a life of pain and hurt, there's a constant battle that you're fighting within yourself. And that is the question of, it's like, pick your battle. Would you rather be alone and continue living in a void that is all too familiar to you? Feeling alone as a child, feeling unloved, and just trying to navigate through an empty part in your body that you feel? Or would you rather be in a toxic relationship where the void is partially filled, but there's pain coming from another direction? I think it's something to think about, because for many of us, the pain of being alone is much greater than the pain of suffering in a toxic relationship. And that's where we see a lot of that cycle being reborn in people who have that history. And so that's a little bit of what I talk about when I go do my little presentations, and just getting people to understand that it's really never, it's not a victim's fault that they are once they get in the cycle, but it's also like a manner of understanding why you're in the cycle, what brought you to that, and where you can identify the first step that you should take to begin to heal yourself from a broken, shattered world. It brings along an idea of a metaphor that I saw someone talk about, and it goes a little like this. And again, don't quote me on this, because these are just things I am saying to get you guys to understand the little picture that I'm trying to paint. But I think the best example that I've heard for this is the glasses metaphor. And it talks about how, imagine you're born. Yeah, you're born. You're a child, and you could either be given clear glasses or broken glasses, like shattered glasses with foggy, like they're dirty. So let's say you were born as a child who was given that foggy perception. Your glasses are shattered, they're dirty, they got a stain on them, or a little foggy. So you grow up with those glasses, and you grow up seeing the world in a very like different light. Like, it's a little darker, it's a little blurry, like it's hard to see what's clear, it's hard to see where things are. You're often confused, your perception is off, and obviously you're gonna learn to think that's normal, like that is how life is supposed to be, because that is all the exposure you've been giving. Like, that's the opportunity you get, is to see the world through a broken lens. But here we are again, with the other child who's given clear, perfect 20/20, gives you 20/20 vision glasses. Like, they're pristine. You can see the world, and it's clear and it's accurate. Your perception is accurate, and there are really no issues. You know where you're walking, you understand, you see the full picture of things in the way that it should be. So you grow up as a child and you see the world through clear lenses rather than broken, shattered, dirty lenses. So the child who sees the world in clarity is automatically going to see the world as clear. They're going to see the world as like easy to navigate. You know, they're not going to have to face like struggles of confusion and knowing where to go and knowing what path to take and trying to uncover something that is foggy and just struggling to understand where they can place themselves in the world so that they can have a better outcome, because it's clear for them. They know where to place themselves and it's easy for them to facilitate that decision. But with children who have the broken lens, like, they're always questioning themselves. They're always wondering, why is the world like this? Is it like this? Second guessing themselves, second guessing their thought process, like repeating to themselves that the brokenness that they see is in some shape or form a part of them. But in reality, that's where healing comes in. That's when you realize that there is so much to unlearn. When the child with broken glasses is given the clear glasses, they're confused. They don't recognize goodness. They don't recognize abundance and joy and being able to see the clear picture and the clear light, because it is not what they know. And when they receive that, I think of the correlation of when I first received like a form of love that I was craving. I rejected it immediately. Healthy love, healthy potential relationship, I rejected it because it was weird and strange, and I didn't want that because it wasn't familiar. Similarly to someone who gets into a bad relationship, when they are offered a partner who is healthy or who comes into their life, they think of it as very unnatural. It feels very weird, it's uncomfortable, they don't know how to navigate. So of course it's easy to fall back on that toxic ex because what they know is familiar. They grew up with that. It's never their fault, but they know that it's familiar and it feels good and it feels safe, even though it was never safe. So I hope that makes sense a little bit to you guys. I can definitely elaborate that on that more, but for now that's all I want to leave you guys with on a little thought. Let me know if you guys have any other topics I want to talk about. But growing up numb, it is just something that I feel in this day and age. We're at a point where like I know my life sucks, and it's hard when people come to me and they tell me that the whole I'm sorry spiel. Like, why do I feel better when they tell me that it genuinely does suck? I'm just conflicted there, but I hope I offered some insight. I'm gonna keep thinking on that thought and get back to you guys. But again, thank you for watching my first vlog of many years, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.